Okay, thank you very much to Keith and for everyone for being here today. I would like to start really by saying on behalf of the QUB team what a pleasure it has been to work with our colleagues in the Dundalk Institute of Technology and the University of the West of Scotland throughout the BREATH project. We have greatly enjoyed a very genuine collaborative team spirit which has led to the training and development of a new generation of researchers and has really also helped in the career development of our postdoctoral research fellows. But a very important other aspect of the project has been in the fostering of engagement with industry to include both regional SMEs as well as global pharma. Now, when we first reviewed the INTERREG priority areas, it was clear that our ambitions for the BREATH project fitted very nicely into the priority area of research and innovation, whose specific objective was to create a critical mass in the region by melding research capacity across 3 jurisdictions into one large supercluster. The specific aims were to increase the level of cross-border industry-relevant research and innovation capacity within the health and life sciences, to work together as a critical mass to pursue research and innovation of the scale and quality necessary to achieve impact. And I think Keith has done a very nice overview of how we've achieved that. To bring together complementary strengths through an effective cross-border collaborative partnership, and to bridge the gap between private and public sector research and innovation. Now, within each priority area, a number of output indicators were set by our funder, SEUPB, which included targets for how we would work with enterprises in cross-border, transnational and interregional research projects. Now, Keith has already mentioned some of the targets that we set, and we had said that we would work with at least 2 enterprises who would receive grant support, and we exceeded that target and achieved 3. And the number of enterprises receiving non-financial support were actually 8, but really, the number of enterprises over the 5 years, both SME and pharma, accounted for about 18 different companies. Now, our industry partners were selected as appropriate for the project concept, the activities envisaged, and the output indicators to be achieved, reflective of the overall aims and objectives of the programme. So we can really say that BREATH was built on a pillar of research and innovation, supported also by collaborative activities with enterprises, but also public engagement, which John will speak to after this talk. Now, this slide shows the 18 companies that we have engaged with actively over the course of the project. But I'd now like to spend a few minutes just talking specifically about the 3 projects that have received grants from the programme. This is Almac Discovery, OmniSpirant Therapeutics, and phien Therapeutics. So first of all, Almac Discovery. Well, Almac Discovery is a biotech company supported by the overall Almac Group, with sites based in Belfast, Edinburgh, and Manchester. And their technology is the development of new medicines targeting deubiquitinating enzymes, also known as DUBs. Now, DUBs are proteases that can affect protein stability, signaling, and trafficking, and are established drug targets for cancer, inflammatory and autoimmune disorders, as well as infectious disease. Now, the overall project aim of the collaborative project was to identify and validate DUB targets in chronic airways diseases for the purpose of exploring the therapeutic utility of Almac Discovery's DUB inhibitors for novel treatments for CF and COPD. On the team, don't know where some pictures have gone, they were there a minute ago. They're not ghost figures, believe me, they are real people. So on the team we have Prof Tim Harrison, who is the VP of Discovery Chemistry, Prof Dan Longley, who is the group leader, and Dr Ian Loeb, who is the technical leader. And BREATH has supported the appointment of Dr Richard Wilkinson as a BREATH-funded postdoctoral fellow, and Richard is also a QUB visiting scholar. The programme has also greatly benefited from the secondment of Dr James Rahill from Queen's University Belfast. And James has independently been able to secure an MRC Innovation Award, as well as further funding through a Venture Innovation Award from the Cystic Fibrosis Trust. And further support has been leveraged from Almac Discovery through the support of a collaborative PhD studentship as well. Moving on to OmniSpirant. OmniSpirant is a biotechnology SME founded in 2016 by Dr. Jerry Macaulay to develop first-in-class inhaled regenerative gene therapies for the treatment of chronic airways diseases such as cystic fibrosis and COPD. And the company have developed unique technologies to bioengineer mesenchymal stem cell extracellular vesicles for drug delivery. The delivery system called Omnisomes enables safe and efficient inhaled delivery of disease-tailored gene therapy directly to the lung. And these MSCEVs have proven therapeutic potential to reverse inflammatory lung disease damage. The aim of this project is to develop a regenerative vector for gene therapies using genetically modified, surface-engineered MSC exosomes, which have the potential to deliver a range of engineered protein and nucleic acid cargoes to the airways. Now, in addition to Jerry, we're delighted to have on board Dr. Katie Gilligan as our breath-funded postdoctoral research fellow. And this relationship has also led to 2 large multidisciplinary funding applications, one to the Horizon 2020 European Innovation Council Pathfinder Programme, and another to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation in the USA, their Path to the Cure Programme. Phien Therapeutics is a QUB spin-out that was founded in 2017 by Professor Helen McCarthy, a colleague of mine from the School of Pharmacy. And the company was set up to exploit a patented RALA peptide-based platform for the delivery of anionic cargoes such as messenger RNA. Phien's developmental pathway is initially focused on viral infections and oncology, but they're really interested now in looking to see whether the platform can also be translated for respiratory indications. RALA is a 30 amino acid peptide-based drug delivery system which condenses anionic cargoes of any size, whether they be messenger RNA, DNA, or small molecule, to nanoparticles. RALA is highly efficient at cellular entry without the manufacturing complexity or indeed the safety issues of viruses. And RALA messenger RNA formulations are stable at room temperature. So the project aim is very straightforward, really to determine if Phien's technology can be aerosolized and delivered to the lung. And the nice thing about this project is it builds directly on work conducted by breath PhD student Emma Carroll, who showed that RALA is able to be successfully delivered, can successfully deliver a therapeutic cargo to primary human airway cells in vitro. The key people on the team are Helen McCarthy, the CEO and founder of Phien, supported by Darren Neeson, the Chief Operating Officer. And we're delighted to say that Emma has really transferred now her expertise as a breath PhD student to the breath-funded postdoctoral position with Phien. Now, over the course of the Breath project, an important tenet has been our research training programme. And this has included outreach training, which John will speak to after this talk. Now, throughout their studies, our PhD students and postdocs have acquired a broad range of transferable skills to include research methods, statistical analysis, communication skills, personal effectiveness, career development planning, and many other skills that we couldn't fit on the slide. An important aspect has been our peer-led research seminar series, which has been provided by our very, very highly skilled postdocs. And these were particularly effective during those lockdown months where they were delivered via Teams. Our industry partners have, however, been instrumental in the delivery of a number of business and leadership modules. And we've covered a wide range of topics from innovation, invention, disclosures, technology transfer, sales and marketing, business strategy and planning, pitching to investors, and how to develop a startup. But they've also learnt about the drug discovery and development process. And importantly, they now have a very firm understanding of the regulatory pathways and challenges required to bring a drug from the lab to the clinic. Now, one of the significant events that was organised by our clinical lead, Professor Lorcan McGarvey, back in March 2019 was a 2-day bio tour of GSK. GSK, as you know, is one of the largest healthcare and pharmaceutical companies in the world with an annual turnover of £30.8 billion per annum. The programme was kindly coordinated by Alan Ullman, a medical scientific liaison, and Gordon Hutchinson, the Director of Scientific Engagement at GSK. And as you can see here, day one was spent at GSK House, their head office at Brentford on the outskirts of London. And a breadth team of around 35 researchers really availed of a fantastic tour of all the facilities, as well as a number of really engaging talks by very senior personnel at GSK. So it was a fabulous event, and I think it's one of the highlights that many of us have of these types of engagements. Now, although we really greatly enjoyed the talks, you can see here that both staff and students very much enjoyed the VR headsets as well. There seems to be lots of pictures of people in VR headsets. And after a really fantastic day of talks and activities and tours, we had a networking dinner, and then up the next morning to go on the bus to Stevenage, which is the GSK's R&D facility. Now at Stevenage, we were taken into the nucleus where we were welcomed by the site head, Paul Life. So basically the senior man of GSK at Stevenage took some time out of his day to come and welcome us and talk to us on site. This was followed by talks by other senior GSK staff, to include Dave Allen, who is the Senior Vice President of Medicines Design. And he spoke to us about the innovation and challenges faced in the design and development of new medicines, and particularly their move towards a personalised medicines approach. And they were particularly excited, to tell us about the launch of their new Ellipta platform, as you can see here on the right of the slide. This new inhaler device offers an opportunity to deliver both single and combination therapies for the treatment of asthma and COPD. And they really wanted to expound it as an example of something that really encapsulates their mission statement, which was to help people do more, feel better, and live longer. The visit proved an excellent opportunity for the group to network and gain insight into various career opportunities provided within the pharmaceutical sector. Now, our relationship with TEVA stems from winning the 2018 Northern Ireland Healthcare Award, where TEVA were the sponsor for the asthma and COPD category. For the 2019 Breath Conference that was held in Belfast, TEVA hosted a day-long industry-led training event which was entitled The Pharmaceutical Industry in Action. Particular thanks must go to Audrey Campbell and Amy Diamond for coordinating the speakers for this event. That evening, a dinner and seminar programme were hosted by Chiesi, an Italian-owned global pharmaceutical company. After welcomes by Declan O'Hagan, the medical manager, he handed over to Prof. Lorcan McGarvey to chair the session. And as you can see here, our first talk was given by Professor Alan Wells from the University of Leicester, who spoke to us about the bad air that we breathe and health impacts and preventative interventions. The second after-dinner talk was by Professor Joe Kidney, a consultant in respiratory medicine of the Mater Hospital in Belfast, who spoke to us about mechanisms of exacerbation in COPD. Now, of course, from March 2020, the opportunity for in-person events dramatically changed. So in June of 2020, our Breath Conference switched to Zoom. And we have to thank Audrey Campbell once again and Sally Hughes for the huge amount of work they did in coordinating a session, which included, again, very senior figures across TEVA. The session ended with a talk by Louise Bluesfield, a recruitment manager that is used by TEVA, who mentored the students on strategies to improve their chances of success in a very competitive recruitment market. Industry training in 2021 was similarly conducted via Zoom, but for this event we called upon our SME partners to provide talks about their industry and, where relevant, their spin-out journey. So we have to thank ALMAC Discovery, phien Therapeutics, Access Bioservices and Causeway Sensors for providing a very engaging session, which culminated in a talk by Francis Weldon from ALMAC Group, who spoke about careers in ALMAC and the pharmaceutical industry in general. Now, in addition to the added value that I have highlighted with our 3 funded partners earlier in the talk, our increased research capacity through breadth has also helped leverage additional support. A good example is a drug development project with Boston Pharmaceuticals that has delivered 2 consecutive project grants of value nearly $452,000 to investigate an enzyme called phien as a target for airways disease. Now, this has enabled the appointment of Dr. Lisa Douglas, previously a breath PDRF, to the post. Further value has been added through their sponsorship of a PhD studentship. And we also just recently had the success of a very high impact publication in Cell Chemical Biology. Another example is a project with Merck to develop a model of cough hypersensitivity. And this has secured a project grant of value $250,000, and a further grant of just over $191,000 is in the final stages of review. And finally, some additional funding has been leveraged from the International Foundation of Ethical Research, the applicant in this case being Dr. Orla Dunn from QUB, and nearly $48,000 from the Belfast Health and Social Care Trust to try and bridge, provide bridge funding to maintain some key breath personnel. The University of the West of Scotland has also just recently secured a PhD studentship from the Cunningham Trust to sustain a programme of work focused on a novel therapeutic target for COPD. So that brings me to the end of my talk, and I would now like to hand over to my breath colleague, Professor John Lockhart, who will tell you more about our public engagement activities. Thank you.